Hello YouTube, this is Maker Steve in the workshop, and we're going to talk through how to replace your nozzle and when your printer's indicating that you should replace your nozzle. So in this case, I've preheated the printer to 205 degrees. That's typically my printing temperature, somewhere between 202 and 208 for PLA. This printer has started producing some lines or stringing gaps in between layers on my 3D prints, which will eventually lead to layers not adhering to each other properly. Anytime you see this, it's an indicator that somewhere between the extruder and the hot end there is something causing the filament to not flow properly back and forth. So we're going to walk through and I'll show you how I replace a nozzle, and maybe it'll help you going forward. So in this case, I'm shoving the filament in a little bit and then I'm going to draw it back. And it came back, it's kind of sticking in there, and that sticking is an indication that there is a gap between the PTFE and the nozzle. So in this case, I'm going to remove the nozzle with a 6mm socket, and just remember it's pretty hot. You have to do this when it's hot or you're going to cause yourself some grief going forward. This nozzle is clear on the inside, so when I drew back, it pulled all the filament with it, and that's an indication that the problem is not in the nozzle. With this nozzle here, it is plugged completely, and that one tells me there's probably something inside this nozzle causing some constriction. So to clear the block that you have, you shove your filament through a little bit, you take your clippers, you clip it, pull it, and then you can draw back the filament into the PTFE, and then we're gonna take the little socket or the little wrench that comes with your printer, and we're gonna push down on the compression fitting, and we're going to pull the PTFE out. And this is going to allow me to make sure that that end is clear and that the cut's still good. So in this case, it looks pretty good, although it looks like it's tight right there. So I grab my PTFE cutter, I line it up, and I'll lop off a 1/2 inch or so. And then I'll look to make sure that this is as square a cut as I can get, and that the hole in the end is the right shape. So to me it looks good, and I will put this down in there. I'll grab a new 4mm nozzle and I'll seat it in there with my fingers, making sure to do it as quickly as possible because that hot end is still hot. And I'm going to go with the nozzle not quite all the way tight. I need about a 1/2 turn to make sure the PTFE seats properly. Now I'm going to shove this down until it stops, pull up on the compression fitting, and then I'm going to tighten it the rest of the way. And you'll see the PTFE back out a little bit up top, and that'll tell you you got a good tight seat between the top of the nozzle, inside the hot end, and the PTFE. So then we'll go and we'll push this through, and we'll watch the filament come out smoothly and in a line, and then we're going to draw it back just like retraction would. And if it's right, there'll be no resistance when you do this. And I test this a couple of times, just like it would happen with retraction. and I'm just looking for a nice smooth transition from forward and back, and I'm getting that over and over. So with that, that's how I change out a nozzle in a pinch and get my printers back up and going. Hope it helps you going forward. This is Maker Steve in the workshop, and I am signing out.